Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me tonight. Today I'm going to be doing a dramatic reading of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time official Nintendo Player's Guide. It's in rough shape because I've read this many times over the course of my life. It was a life-changing book for me, so I really wanted to share with the rest of Twitch, all of my viewers, and just do a read aloud of this great book. So let's begin. Before we start the main part of the book here, we do have on the first page a message from the Master. Hi, I'm Shigeru Miyamoto. Thank you for playing so many of our fun and challenging games. We tried to write this guide to give you the strategy you need to complete your adventure. But we also wanted you to discover much of the game on your own. A great deal of thought and care went into creating this game, so that players could find more than just challenges, but also a lot of fun. This is the best how-to guide for those of you who are looking for some strategies to complete your adventure. With this book, you will discover the secrets of every nook and cranny of the land of Hyrule, as if you were one of the Hylians. Also, we hope the level of fun and challenge you experience in the game exceeds your expectations. If you get tired in the middle of your journey, you can play the ocarina whenever you want. Try out its very cool options, such as half-tone or whole-tone shift vibrations. Please see the fold-out poster for more details on making your own melodies. Good luck. Shigeru Miyamoto. Contents. Herein lies the full account of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In this volume, you will find a comprehensive retelling of the tale and an in-depth guide through Link's entire adventure. It contains detailed maps of every place he visited, descriptions of how he found every item and weapon in his amazing inventory, and a treasure trove of useful lore from ancient Hyrule. This guide is the only one from Nintendo Power, and it is an essential part of any Hylian hero's arsenal. Next, we will begin with a history of the Legend of Zelda series, which is actually quite long. But what I'm going to do here is I will catch up on the chat at good stopping points, such as this one, before I begin once again. And so that's what we're going to do. So let me just check. What are my viewers saying? Nice fireplace, Rainbow Sprinkles added. Gather round, children, for a tale of young pies and old men, stated Endarin87. So, Tigahiz is a thing? Marksville exclaimed in surprise. Is this impersonation classed as racist, Kappa? Nah, I think of it as creative realism, Endarin explained. Whoa! What is this? Cranny Boy joined in the conversation incredulously. Let us continue with the story. Legends of Zelda. Much of Hylian lore has faded with the passing of years, but one story that still shines bright is the Legend of Zelda. This is no simple tale, but an incredible tapestry woven of many years and many wondrous adventures. One odd thing about the legend is that it doesn't seem to have been written in chronological order, and scholars still disagree about which events came first. We will therefore recount the legend as it was set down in the ancient scrolls and let you decide for yourself. Hear now the saga of Link and Zelda, the greatest heroes Hyrule has ever known. The Legend of Zelda. She was a princess of the realm, as intelligent as she was beautiful. But all of Zelda's royal power could not hold back the darkening power that arose to threaten her kingdom. The name of that power was Ganon, an accursed wizard who stole a piece of the mystic Triforce, a token of good fortune from 3 goddesses. Ganon captured Zelda and searched frantically for the remaining pieces of the Triforce, which the princess had scattered to the far corners of Hyrule. Before she was imprisoned, Zelda sent forth her faithful servant Impa to seek out a hero strong enough and trustworthy enough to reunite the Triforce and break Ganon's power. That hero was Link, a selfless young warrior who, by fortune or fate, saved Impa from Ganon's monstrous moblin servants. Hearing of Zelda's plight, Link braved countless dangers to recover the fragments of the Triforce, eventually battling his way to Death Mountain to confront Ganon himself. Finding that no earthly weapon could harm Ganon, Link used the legendary Silver Arrow to pierce the wizard's black heart and destroy him utterly. Or so it was thought. The wise ones say that while evil can be diminished, it can never truly be vanquished. And soon an ominous shadow fell over the land of Hyrule once more. Which brings us to Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. After Ganon's defeat, a new golden age blossomed in Hyrule. There was no want, and there was happiness and prosperity in great measure. One person who did not share in this time of joy, ironically, was Link. The young hero was troubled by signs of lurking danger, and his worst fears were realized when Princess Zelda was stricken by a terrifying enchantment. A mysterious sorcerer, unable to wrest the secrets of the Triforce from Zelda, cast upon her a spell of endless, dreamless sleep. Link strode forth once more, venturing through forest and town, and across the roiling sea to root out this vile fiend and bring him to justice. Link learned that the sorcerer had fled to the ancient ruin of the Great Palace. The only way to break the seal on the palace gate was to gather the shards of a magic crystal, buried for centuries within 6 dungeons and guarded by fearsome creatures. Undeterred by such dangers, Link fought doggedly through each palace, turning aside moblins, dealers, and all manner of demonic enemies at every step. Already a master of sword and shield, Link also began to learn the ways of magic to turn the weapons of his enemy against him. After many days of toil and trial, Link finally stood before the gate of the Great Palace and ripped the final barrier asunder. Barrier Skip, it was called. He struck down the sorcerer's guardian, the cruel Thunderbird, then turned to face his ultimate foe. No challenge, no quest could prepare Link for the horror he beheld. For the enemy he faced was none other than himself. Given form by an unknown power, a shadowy duplicate of Link was the true architect of evil who had plagued Hyrule. With a shrill cry, "Hyah!" Link leapt to the attack. How long the battle raged, the chronicles do not tell, but the sound of their clashing swords was like thunder, shaking the very pillars of heaven. And when their battle cries finally fell silent, it was Link who emerged the victor. Thus was Princess Zelda freed from her unnatural slumber, and the dark pall of doom over Hyrule lifted. Little is known of Link's later adventures, but the ancient texts do say that he was ever vigilant of evil's shadow upon the land. It is also said that though the people of Hyrule revered him in story and song, Link remained humble to the last, for he knew that the most potent evil often comes not from without, but from within. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. The third chronicle of The Legend of Zelda spoke of an earlier period in Link's life, but the story did not begin with him. The roots of the tale were buried in an earlier age, in a time when Ganon was yet mortal, and he was called Ganondorf, King of Thieves. While he possessed no magic at first, Ganondorf did command a vast army. By treachery and force of arms he gained control of the Triforce, and the Golden Land in which it resided. Renamed Ganon, he directed his now enchanted army to overthrow the rightful king of Hyrule. It was only by the magic of 7 sages that Hyrule was saved from the wizard's wrath. The 7 then sealed Ganon within the Golden Land, which in time became known as the Dark World. As the years tumbled past, the threat of Ganon was forgotten. Then there came a time of great disasters in Hyrule. Fires, floods, pestilence, and famine. A wandering wizard named Aghanim used his powers to end the troubles and thus was named counselor to the king. Aghanim played the role of trusted advisor for a time, but soon seized power for himself. He imprisoned the 7 descendants of the 7 sages, as well as the king's young daughter, Princess Zelda. As she was taken, Zelda used her powers, the powers of her mind, to send out a call for help. Her desperate plea was answered by a bold boy named Link. Unmindful of the danger, Link gathered 3 mystic pendants and used them to free the Master Sword, the only weapon powerful enough to stand against Aghanim's magic. Shining blade in hand, Link cut a swath through Aghanim's magical defenses, only to discover that his sneering sorcerer was merely the puppet of the dreaded Ganon. The ancient wizard had finally found a way to breach the barrier between the light world and his dark world, and the only one who stood in his way was Link. Using such legendary weapons as the hookshot, the Pegasus shoes, and the magic mirror, Link journeyed between the light world and the dark world, freeing the 7 captives and gathering the magic crystals that would unlock Ganon's Dark Tower. In the end, Link defeated Ganon in an epic battle, high atop the wizard's shadowy citadel. Many say that it was the power of the Master Sword that finally proved to be Ganon's downfall. Others shake their heads, knowingly, and speak only of the stout heart and pure spirit of a lone little boy. Let us once again take a break to catch up on my viewers. I want to remind you that shows like this are brought to you by viewers like you. And Darren exclaimed, "I want to get off this wild ride. The shop music makes this 100 times better. Up plus a Kappa." What a story, Rainbow Sprinkles adds. Plot twist. Cranny Boy joins back in. "I feel like I'm being read a bedtime story. Maybe I should go take a nap. Kappa." If I can make a suggestion, I see the fireplace floor. Your floor is not that high. Magic. There must be a little stoop just below the fireplace for all the little kitties to sit on for story time, suggests Cranny Boy. Indeed, for Stoop Kid is afraid to leave his stoop. I don't know. Do we want to lower the fireplace down a little bit? We'll lower the fireplace down a smidge. I can get behind that idea. Now you can see my dresser, though. It's a conundrum for sure. And I'll leave it. I'll leave it how it was. Alright. This finally brings us to the story of Ocarina of Time. Much about the lives of Link and Zelda remains a mystery, but a new chapter in The Legend of Zelda was recently unearthed in a remote corner of the Hyrule Castle archives. It sheds some light on Link's boyhood, and on the origins of the thief who would become the darkest sorcerer in Hyrule's history. Link always seemed destined to be a hero. Even as a boy, his fate was bound to the fate of the Triforce. It was as if time itself had chosen him to be its champion. And nowhere is this better shown than in this latest chronicle, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Newly discovered by Hylian scholars, this tale stretches from Link's boyhood to his early manhood. Some scholars suggest that this is, indeed, an account of Link's very first adventure. Others believe that the Link and Zelda in this story may not be the same as those in the previous chronicles, and that they are perhaps ancestors of that famous pair. While these questions may never be settled, we do know that this Link and Zelda displayed the same courage and nobility as the others who have borne those honored names. Like the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, this story began long before Link and Zelda were born. In fact, it began at the very birth of the world, when 3 goddesses shaped this globe and breathed life into it. When their labors were done, Din, goddess of power, Nehru, goddess of wisdom, and Ferora, goddess of courage, created this Triforce as a token of their holy bond with the world. Where the Triforce stood became sacred ground, and the goddesses promised that as long as the Triforce endured, so would Hyrule. In time, Hyrule flourished and became a powerful kingdom. Near Hyrule Castle lay a great green wood, home of the Kokiri. Known as the Children of the Forest, all Kokiri had their own guardian fairies. All, that is, save one. The name of this lone Kokiri was Link. For a time, Link had been troubled by nightmares. Every night as the blankets of sleep enveloped him, Link would find himself in the midst of a terrible storm. He would see before him an imposing castle, its towering spires lit by lightning. A rider on horseback would race by, a terrified girl locked in her grip. A fleeting glimpse, a desperate look, and then she would be gone. Another rider would appear then, cloaked in black. He would turn his smoldering gaze upon Link, then Link would awaken. And thus began one of the darkest chapters in Hyrulean history. Alright. Excellent. Anything new here? Rainbow sprinkles. Illusions. Now I feel like I'm there. Let us continue. Link in action. Link's skill in combat and his feats of strength and agility were well documented. His techniques were recorded in great detail and passed down through many generations of warriors. We've translated the ancient Hylian texts and adapted Link's techniques for use with our modern weapons. So, for some basic training, what do we have from Endaren here? Ganon was just wondering if it could grab some gas money. He's so misunderstood. Control stick. Use the control stick to move around. Push it in whichever direction you want to go. The farther you push, the faster you go. As you move, the camera moves with you. Z button. The Z button has several uses. As you explore, press Z to center the view directly behind Link. When you move closer to a person or an object, your guardian fairy, Navi, may fly toward it. Press Z to look at that person or object. This is called Z targeting. Once a person or object is targeted, press A to speak to that person or examine that object. Z targeting is also used in combat, which we discuss on page 11. L button. Maps are available in some areas. Once you find a map, press the L button to turn it on and off. Press the R button to draw your shield and hold it in front of you. Use this technique to deflect frontal attacks. If Navi calls you, press top C to speak with her. You can also use top C to switch to a first-person view. A special weapon or item, like the slingshot or the fairy ocarina, can be assigned to the left, right, or bottom C button. You can change the weapon or item assigned to a button whenever you wish. The A button also has many different uses depending on your situation. You can use it to grab objects, pull yourself up, and more. These and other functions are explained in more detail on the following pages. Press the B button once to draw your sword, then press it again to attack. You'll keep your sword in hand until you put it away by pressing A, or until you activate a different weapon or item. See pages 10 and 11 for detailed combat tips. Moving right along, is what it says. I'm not just saying that myself. Sidestep. When walking across narrow bridges, hold Z to face straight ahead, and lock the camera directly behind you. To walk sideways, hold Z and press left or right on the control stick. Jump. To jump over gaps, leap off ledges, or hop over uneven ground. Just run in that direction and you'll do it automatically. The faster you run, the farther you'll leap. And swim. To swim, just walk into the water. Once the water is deep enough, you'll start swimming automatically. As with walking, just use the control stick to direct your movements. The action icon is the blue icon shown in the upper right portion of your screen. It displays the action that you can perform at that moment by pressing the A button. The action that you can perform changes depending on where you're standing, and some actions may not be available at certain times. If the action icon is blank, try moving around to see if the icon changes. Grab, throw, and drop. To grab an object, first move next to it. When the action icon reads grab, press A. Once you have the object, press the control stick in any direction, then press A to throw it. To drop an object, just stand still, and when the action icon reads drop, then press A. To climb a vine, a ladder, or a rough textured wall, just push the control stick in that direction. To drop down, just let go of the control stick and press A. To climb to the top of a block or another obstacle, move toward it until the action icon reads climb, then press A. When you grab a small object, you just pick it up in your hands. When you grab a large object like a block, you can push or pull it using the control stick. Once the object is in the proper position, you'll usually let go automatically. If you don't, press A to release your grip. There are some additional actions listed as well. Move next to a treasure chest and press A to open it. You'll reach in and pick up whatever is inside the chest automatically. Face someone and press A to start a conversation. If you can't face the person directly, use Z targeting to get his or her attention. The check ability allows you to cash checks. Oh, I misread that. The check ability allows you to read signs or look at things. Once again, you can use Z targeting to focus in on one specific sign or object. While swimming, press A to dive underwater. It's difficult to steer underwater, so dive straight at an object you want to grab. Let us catch up on the viewers. Aw, I caught and Darren. That's right. Pushing Link's buttons. I've been beaten, slain even. Oh, what a world, says Endarin woefully. This music, though, Craigasm. Aren't you warm with the fire in the summer heat? Rainbow Sprinkles asks. Well, Rainbow Sprinkles, I am. I am very warm. In fact, my pits are the sweatiest. Let us continue once again. On to combat training. First of all, swordplay. Though you'll use a lot of different armor and items in the course of your adventure, your trusty sword will be your primary weapon. To draw your sword, simply press B. To slice sideways, press B again. For an overhead chop, hold Z and press B. If you want to take the direct approach, press Z, up on the control stick, and B simultaneously to stab an opponent. Stabbing is difficult to do, but it can help you move in under an opponent's attack. To execute a powerful jump attack, hold Z and press A. A jump attack has twice the power of other attacks. There will be times when a simple cut will be all you'll need, but when your enemies start to close in, just press B repeatedly. you'll hack, slash, and slice your way through any minor enemy or obstacle with lightning speed. There are 3 different shields in the game, which function differently at different times. In general, however, just press and hold R to hold your shield in front of you. You can move it around with a control stick, but you can cover only one direction at a time. To hold the shield and walk at the same time, hold Z and R while you're moving. There are several spin attacks, each more powerful than the last. If you're being attacked from all sides, move the control stick in a circle very quickly and press B. If your timing is correct, you'll hold your sword outward and whip around in a circle. Another method is to hold the B button for a couple of seconds, then release it. Once you learn magic, this method of charging up your spin will actually use some of your magic power, and the attack will be even stronger. To succeed in your quest, you'll need some fancy footwork to go along with your fancy fencing. To do a quick forward roll, press up on the control stick and press A. If your timing is correct, you may avoid taking damage as you roll. There will be times when your quick reflexes will be all that stand between you and defeat at the hands of your enemies. To backflip out of harm's way, hold Z, press down on the control stick, and press A. To sidestep an attack, hold Z, move to the left or right, and then press A. Z targeting locks your weapons on target. This works with your sword and most long-range weapons. For example, you can aim the fairy slingshot manually, or use Z targeting to aim automatically. Once you Z target an enemy, you'll face toward it no matter which way you move. To switch among different enemies within your line of sight, press Z repeatedly. To unlock from an enemy, move out of the targeting range, or hold down on the control stick and press Z. Keep in mind that Z targeting has a limited range, and that range is different from enemy to enemy. You may have to stand within an enemy's attack range for Z targeting to work. Your attention will remain focused on your target until it is defeated, or you look away manually. This may leave you vulnerable to an attack from another direction, if this game actually had enemies that attacked that way. Z targeting works with long-range weapons, like the fairy slingshot and fairy bow, but it's not foolproof. With Z targeting, the farther away a target is, the less chance you'll have of hitting it. Wow. Take your clothes off if you're warm, Craigasm, says Rainbow Sprinkles. What an idea. However, this is my armor. The politically correct term is L targeting. Ah. Thank you for that, Darren. Unless you're Canadian, in which case it is Z targeting. Link's arse and all. According to the ancient scrolls, Link had many wondrous weapons at his disposal. Some required magic, and we've noted how much magic power was needed for each use. In addition, the things Link used only as a child are marked in yellow, and those that he used only as a young man are marked in green. The Deku Stick was a common item, used both as a weapon and as a tool. Link sometimes swung it like a sword, but it tended to break easily. He used it more often as a torch or to start a fire. It was commonly found in shops or left behind by enemies. As a child, Link was famous for his skill with the fairy slingshot, a long-range weapon that he found early in his quest. Using Deku seeds as ammunition, it was said that he could strike down Skulltulas and other fearsome enemies with ease. The boomerang is actually an ancient invention, and Hylians were famous for their skill in both making and using it. Link used his most often to stun or defeat enemies. In fact, he could defeat some types of creatures only with the boomerang. The Deku Nut. When thrown, the Deku Nut exploded with a flash of bright enough to stun some enemies. It did not work on all enemies, but it was plentiful in most areas. If Link's supply was running low, he chopped at bushes, defeated enemies, and overturned stones to find more. An ocarina is a flute-like musical instrument. Two of them figured prominently in Link's adventures. One was the Fairy Ocarina, and the other was the Ocarina of Time. Both possessed amazing powers, and Link learned to play many marvelous melodies. The Lens of Truth was well named, for it allowed Link to peer through fake walls and see invisible items. Using this item consumed small amounts of Link's magic power, but it was well worth the cost. The amount of magic used was dependent on how long the lens was used. Link used a crude type of bomb to open up weak spots in walls or blow up boulders blocking underground grottos. Once the fuse was lit, Link had only a few seconds before the bomb went off. He was also very skilled at throwing a bomb like a ball. The Bomb Chew was a marvel of engineering. It was a mechanical mouse that Link could use to carry a bomb to a target. The Bomb Chew could climb up walls and reach areas that Link could not, but Link had to aim it carefully, since it could not be steered. Link traveled far and wide, but he never met anyone who said, "Fee fi fo fum." He did find more than one magic bean, however. Whenever he found a good spot, he planted a bean. Each one later sprouted and grew strong. When Link grew to manhood, he gave up his slingshot in favor of the more powerful fairy bow. It could fire 3 types of magical arrows, including the fire arrow, the ice arrow, and the light arrow. This bow was one of Link's most trusted weapons. Another multi-purpose item, the hook shot, was a hook attached to the end of a long chain. Link used it as a weapon and as a grapple to grab objects or swing across gaps. As his adventure went on, Link was able to lengthen the chain considerably. The longer version of the hook shot was called the long shot. Not only was the Megaton Hammer useful for pummeling stubborn enemies into submission, it was also useful for moving blocks and turning rusty switches. Imagine what it would be like if everyone had a toolbox with one of these. Ha! Fire arrows. A clever mix of science and magic was used to create the fire arrow, which exploded on contact. A small quantity of magic was used to boost the arrow's explosive power, creating a large fireball that would expand quickly and catch enemies off guard. This ice arrow encased enemies with a numbing block of ice, immobilizing them. If Link did not have enough magic to power a magic arrow, he could still use it as a normal weapon, but it would not have any special effect on its target. The light arrow required twice the magic of fire arrow or the ice arrow, forcing Link to save it for times of great need. It caused more damage than a fire arrow or the ice arrow, and enemies would cower whenever Link drew one from his quiver. Din's Fire. The 3 goddesses who left the Triforce also left behind 3 magic spells, which Link discovered and mastered. The first was Din's Fire, which Link used to surround himself with a ring of fire. This blazing inferno kept enemies at bay. Ferora's Wind. This spell was used to create what Link called a warp point. Once Link created a warp point, he could teleport back to that location at will. To collapse a warp point so that it could be moved to a new location, Link used the Dispel Warp Point command. The last of the goddesses' spell was called Nehru's Love. This spell protected Link from all harm for a short time. Like the other spells, Nehru's Love was kept secret and safe by the fairies. The only mortal they ever told about the spells was Link. Gah! Canada strikes again. Hook on chain. It just works. Supplies are limited. Call now for your hook shot. With only 5 easy payments of $19.99 plus shipping and handling, you too can have a hookshot. Order now and we'll throw in the longshot extension for free. Let's continue to Hylian lore. Not only do the ancient scrolls describe many of the key techniques and strategies that Link used during his quest, they also contain a lot of practical information about everyday life in Old Hyrule. Anyone who would follow in Link's footsteps should read the scrolls and heed their sage advice. When Link unlocked the key to the Temple of Time, his spirit was imprisoned until his body aged into that of a hero. For 7 years, Link lay in limbo until he was awakened to challenge Ganondorf and complete his destiny. In that time, old friends had almost forgotten him, and the Kingdom of Hyrule had declined, plagued by monsters and evil magic. Link set out immediately to put things right, traveling back and forth through time in the process. He found that there were some things he could do only as a child, like crawl through small passages. There were also things he could only do as an adult, like get with Zelda, like ride a horse, or handle his heavy Hylian shield properly. No matter his age or size, though, Link proved himself a worthy hero. As a youth, Link's small size, yeah, we're skipping those little minor things next to it. It's not important, not important. The Fall of Night. Link labored day and night to complete his quest, and in fact, he faced different challenges at different times of the day. For example, Hyrule Field was a place of rolling hills and warm sunshine during the day. But once the sun went down, it was a place of dark dangers. Strange creatures would not walk by day, would stalk the fields by night to ambush unwary travelers. This was true of many places in Hyrule. Rest assured, though, that not everything that happened at night was bad. In Hyrule Castletown, for example, some shops open only at night, giving Link even more choices of goods and services. Different people would also come out at night, and many of them had information that was very useful to our hero. If he wanted to explore Hyrule Castletown at night, he had to enter the gate before sunset, walk through the marketplace, and stand on the road to the castle until the sun went down. He could go back to the marketplace then to look around. No stone unturned. Ancient Hyrule was a wondrous place with secrets and surprises around every corner. Link left no grass uncut, no stone unturned during his quest. Rupees, the currency of Old Hyrule, hearts, which replenished Link's energy, and more were often found in grassy fields or under rocks. As he explored, Link also searched carefully for secret grottos hidden under the bushes, beneath boulders, or behind cliff faces. In these secret grottos, he found valuable items or fairy fountains where he could replenish his energy. In the Great Fairy Fountains, he even learned various magic spells. He sometimes had to return to a fountain 2 or more times to unlock all its secrets. But the rewards he received were usually worth the effort. Wow. It continues. Recycle your bottles. This is a public service announcement to recycle your bottles. Reuse and recycle. Glass bottles were commonly used even in olden times, and Link could fill them with milk, potions, and other useful things. Such a prized possession could only be earned, not bought. He reused his bottles when he could, using them to store items he gathered in his travels. He even used them to capture fairies he found in some of the fairy fountains. It was said that he carried fairies into battle, and if he was injured badly, the fairy would restore his strength. Though Link did not have a guardian fairy for much of his childhood, he gained one just before he began his quest. The fairy's name was Navi, and besides helping Link with Z-targeting, she also provided him with the valuable information and tips. When Link used Z-targeting, the target cursor would sometimes glow in different colors. If the cursor glowed yellow, it meant that Navi knew that enemy's weakness. If it glowed green, Navi had a hint or a bit of information. Link would then talk to Navi to hear what she had to say. Sometimes Navi would just call out to Link. Sometimes. When she did that, she wanted to remind him about important tasks, or give him clues, or just annoy him. Link did a lot of his exploring on foot, as you might expect. He did, however, find other ways of getting around Hyrule. He looked for shortcuts wherever he went. He learned to ride a horse, and he even discovered ways to warp from place to place in the blink of an eye. Alright, we're making some serious progress here. Looks like we have sold completely out of our hookshots. And Darren87 has bought all of them. And I will be sending those out very shortly. But time just doesn't work in town, says Darren. TLDR, Link ruined everything. Prelude to a quest. Hyrule and the Borderlands were created by the three goddesses, but over time traffic between the lands trickled to a halt. Distant places became the stuff of legends. During his quest, Link reopened the old routes, forging new bonds between Hyrule and the Kokiri, the Zoras, the Gorons, and the desert people, the Gerudos. But Link's explorations also took him to the Temple of Time, where he opened the door to the Sacred Realm and a Pandora's box of evil. Oh. Wow. We have a fold-out map. Wow. It's a little hard to see, but it's there. Wow. There are also details on how to play the ocarina, the more complex ways. But let's just skip over that for now, and continue with our story. A hero is born. From the moment Navi woke him on that fateful morning in Kokiri Village, Link became the great hope of Hyrule, even though no one except Princess Zelda knew his true role in the great events that were taking place. Even as a boy just 10 years old, Link showed the courage of a hero and faced dangers in the Deku Tree, Dodongo's Cavern, and the belly of Jabu Jabu in Zora's Fountain. But even after collecting the 3 spiritual stones and returning them to the Temple of Time, Link was not yet ready for his final task. Kokiri Forest. Under the ever-watchful and wise great Deku Tree, the Kokiri Forest flourished with the essence of life. Amid the concealing trees of the vast forest lived fairies? Oh, I understand. Amid the concealing trees of the vast forest lived fairies and the the peaceful Kokiri, a race of elfin youths who never grew old. From this innocent beginning, Link's quest to save Hyrule from a dark reign began. Awakening Hyrule's only hope. While young Link weathered his ominous nightmare, the fairy Navi arrived to rouse him from his slumber and deliver news from the forest-wise patriarch, the majestic Deku Tree. As his frightful dream faded in the morning sun, Link listened to Navi's message. Not only had the Deku Tree summoned Link to appear before him, but Navi was to be his personal fairy. When he emerged from his forest dwelling, Link's friend, the gentle Saria, greeted the pair and encouraged Link to give audience to the Deku Tree. Link's call to arms. The obstinate Mido refused to allow Link free passage to the Deku Tree, even though he had gained a fairy companion. Not until he held the proper equipment, that of a hero, would Mido stand clear. Link needed to obtain a sword and a shield before the pointy-eared ruffian would allow him to speak with the tree. Once the forest youth saw Link with the glimmering Kokiri sword, they were eager to help him improve his dexterity with the blade. Link possessed an amazing natural talent with the sword, but he was eager to sharpen his fighting skills. Even though he learned the fierce jump attack, he knew that he would need to be just as good at defending himself as he was attacking. He expertly learned how to jump, flip, and roll out of harm's way. A Link to the Future. Moving on up. After besting Malon's obstacle course with Epona, Link returned home to find his bovine prize waiting for him. How the cow managed to get up the ladder was beyond Link's grasp, but he appreciated having a personal dairy at his disposal. Deku Tree. The wise Deku Tree, who had breathed life into the Kokiri Forest, had faithfully watched over the ancient woods since his fellow trees were only saplings. The Kokiri believed his benevolence to be everlasting and his life to be eternal, but a shadowy threat forced the tree to call upon one special boy for help. Inside the Deku Tree, Link nimbly fought his way past a trio of snapping Deku Babas, gaining sticks made of the magical wood before reaching the roots of the great Deku Tree. Link listened to the tree as he told him why he had been suffering through the recurring nightmares. An evil force was descending upon Hyrule, and its presence was not lost upon the young Kokiri. And this same vile threat had placed a curse on the Deku Tree. The tree now needed Link to muster all his courage and might to help dispel the foul incantation. 1. Repelling nuts. As Link entered the room. By the way, these rooms that are referenced here are labeled on a map. There are maps on the side and everywhere on the page, just so you know. As Link entered the room, a pesky Deku Scrub started to attack. Heeding Navi's advice, Link used his shield to repel the Scrub's volleys. Once defeated, the cowardly plant taught Link a new tactic. Unable to use the crumbling platforms or climb the ravine's high walls, Link quickly searched for another way across the chamber. Looking up, he spied a ladder fixed high above him, but it was far out of reach. Link pulled back on his slingshot and hoped his aim was true. 3. As Link entered the chamber, bars slammed behind him. Navi suggested that lighting the unlit torch might help. Link ignited a Deku Stick and set the second torch ablaze. 4. The giant Skulltulas were formidable foes, seemingly impervious to attack on their armored backs, but crafty Link discovered that a swipe to their soft bellies was enough to dispatch them. 5. Able to survey the inside of the Deku Tree from the highest ledge, Link spotted a way to reach the level below the cobweb, but it wouldn't be easy. He had to jump through it. Looking down, Link realized the mammoth web made for a tricky target, so he took a deep breath and a leap of faith. 6. Something had been busy spinning webs and cleverly hiding doors behind them. Link felt the threads of the draping webs in his fingers and got an idea. He would burn his way through the tangles. Getting fire from the burning torches would be simple, but crossing the water without losing the flame would be difficult. He carefully stepped only where the water was shallow. Number 7. Further progress into the dungeon seemed impossible. With the door locked behind bars and no key to be found, Link needed another solution. He felt a chill as if he were being watched. Link reached for his slingshot on a hunch that the way out was only a blink away. There's a picture of the eye switch above the door. The first thing Link saw when he entered the chamber was a twisting log, adorned with spikes that even a Deku shield could not protect him from. With the floating platform sliding just beneath the log, Link needed to lower the water. Navi suggested diving into the pool. Under the waves, Link discovered a switch that only drained the water, or that drained the water, but for a short time only. Once across the water, Link deftly dispatched a Skulltula, and pulled a block across the floor so he could reach the door. Number 9. Remembering how he got past the cobwebs to reach the hidden door, Link decided he would try to burn his way through the mammoth cobweb that covered the floor. But the water between him and the torches was too wide, unless he created a platform between the two ledges. After lighting the Deku Stick, Link scurried back to the web and scorched it, revealing a level below. Number 10. Deku Scrub Bros. Lurking outside the lair of Queen Goma, 3 Deku Scrub Brothers posed a tricky problem for Link. He effortlessly reflected their seeds back at them, but it seemed that no matter how many times he tried to dispose of them, they came back for more. Link recalled a clue on how to defeat these weeds. Something about the order in which to attack them? Goma. As Link walked through the door, Goma roared into action. The monstrosity eclipsed Link, leaving no chance for victory unless he found a weakness. When his sword glanced off, he let fly with his slingshot just as the beast's eyes flashed red. It was dazed long enough for Link to strike. Goma retreated to the ceiling long enough to lay eggs that hatched tiny Goma larvae, before battling Link again. Link emerged from the Deku Tree, victorious. As a reward for his valor, the tree bestowed upon him a sparkling jewel, the Kokiri's emerald, and told him he must leave the forest for Hyrule Castle, where a princess would reveal the next step on his path of destiny. Link ran from the forest, but was stopped by the sounds of Saria's dulcet voice. She gave him a musical ocarina and wished him luck. Stepping out from the trees for the first time, Link was taken aback by the size of Hyrule Field, a sprawling plain that stretched farther than his eyes could see. Well, I think we'll stop there for today. Once again, thank you all for joining me today for the dramatic reading of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Player's Guide, the official Player's Guide from Nintendo Power, featuring a foreword by Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto, and a $5 sticker from when I tried to sell this at a yard sale. I hope that you all join me next time for another dramatic reading. And there you go. May the Triforce be with you, I guess.